I have a couple of questions. Are you, number one, are you still chasing alternate arts? And I'm not talking about the alternate arts from Crown Zenith or from Scarlet and Violet. I'm talking about the actual alternate arts, not the special illustration rares, not the special art rares, but the actual alternate arts that kind of started for the Sword and Shield block, at least, with Battle Styles, and then ran all the way through Silver Tempest. So Lugia V, Tyranitar V, Umbreon VMAX, all those cards. Are you still looking for them actively? Because I've been doing a lot of thinking, and there's really just, I mean, there's so many thoughts that go through my head when it comes to the Pokemon market. And that's why it's so fascinating to me. And I'm sure it's why it's fascinating to you as well, is like, what is going to happen, or what can we expect to happen? Because when you think about it, a lot of these sets, so starting with Battle Styles, right? Not as much in circulation anymore. So we talk about opening collection boxes and all the new collection boxes that are coming out. And right now you're starting to see Scarlet and Violet booster packs that are going to be added into collection boxes. So the last collection box that we had was the Mimikyu EX box, but we're going to have a Cyclizar box come out, a Cyclizar EX box come out, and that's probably going to have Scarlet and Violet packs in it. And it's like, well, what's going to happen to these alternate arts? So Battle Styles, basically out of circulation when it comes to collection boxes, tins, things like that. And then you move forward, Chilling Reign, kind of the same thing. Not too many items out there that you can grab off the shelves at Target and Walmart really in circulation anymore when it comes to Chilling Reign. Same thing with Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies starting to diminish a little bit more. You can still kind of find those Empoleon and Tyranitar tins out and about in random places that might have a couple of Brilliant Stars packs in it, and then 3 Evolving Skies booster packs in it, which is super, super cool. But other than that, those 3 sets, very difficult to find. There's still a lot of Fusion Strike that kind of floats around. There's still going to be Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance. Those sets are still going to float around for quite some time. But then what happens with the Pokemon market when it comes to these alternate arts? Because that's kind of like the height of collecting as far as artwork goes and chase cards go. And with chase cards getting a little bit easier to obtain, at least so far with Scarlet and Violet, what's going to happen to the market on some of these cards? Are these really comparable to what we called Gold Star cards back in the day? Are they really expected to kind of continue to grow in value and things like that? And looking at the market, when it comes to a lot of these alternate arts, not a whole lot of movement for many of them. Some of them, though, are continuing to just set historic paces and climb to new heights. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the alternate art market, just kind of rewind things a little bit, make kind of a chill video, going over some of these prices and see what they've done over the past year to kind of get a gauge on where they might be headed, so that way we can make better decisions on when should we be buying these cards, and is it too late now to buy them? So I'm very curious to get your thoughts. So if you could drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think as far as alternate art cards go and what the future holds. A lot of people I've seen like that idea of the chase, and they're not overly thrilled with pull rates being as great as they are for Scarlet and Violet because they want to have that thrill of the chase. But as booster packs from the Sword and Shield era become less and less available as we continue to move forward, still a lot of them available right now, what's going to happen to these cards? What's going to happen to these artworks? And I'm very curious to see what you guys think. If you enjoy the content, if you could do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button down below. Give it a little poke, a little tickle. That would be awesome. Leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm, just sharing the channel. You could share the video. That would be absolutely amazing. But I'm going to stop selling out, and I'm going to flip you guys around so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to start out with the Umbreon VMAX. It looked like the Umbreon VMAX was actually going to go down a little bit. We had that span of time in November, December where things started backing off a little bit. You can see where it was April, May, June, July of 2022. That's when that reprint hit. That's when that significant sized reprint hit. Things kind of started slowing down a little bit for Umbreon VMAX. It hit a one-year low of 307.28, and then it took off like crazy past that $500 mark. And then it was like, pump the brakes a little bit, Umbreon. This might be a little bit too high for a modern day chase card. Like, this is a little bit ridiculous, and started backing off for a little bit. It went down below $500. It went down right around that 450, 470 mark, and then look at where we're at. It just keeps going. It just keeps going up and up. And now it's sitting at 619.24. 2024. So that's a 1-year high for Umbreon VMAX. Beautiful artwork, absolutely gorgeous. Love this card, but the fact that it continues to just grow and grow and grow. What does the ceiling look like? We've talked before about there's really no ceiling when it comes to Pokemon cards, but there has to be a point where it does back off a little bit, right? And it's just, it continues to climb and continues to climb. Very, very interesting. The Giratina V also kind of doing the same thing, even though Lost Origin is still somewhat available in a lot of collection boxes. You have those Infernape boxes, a lot, those Giratina tins, a lot of different collection items that you can pull Lost Origin packs from. And Giratina V, the alternate art, being a little bit easier to pull than what we saw from the Umbreon VMAX, but this card also continues to defy logic a little bit, where it just doesn't seem to want to stop growing. You can see kind of following the same path. We're looking at 6 months of data because Lost Origin not quite as old as Evolving Skies. It came out a year afterwards, but in November of 2022, it hit that $280, almost $300 mark, and then started backing off a little bit. We thought maybe, okay, this one's going to come back down a little bit now. Went back down to about $260. That was in January of 2023, then started taking off again. Very, very interesting to see it continue to rise. Now, it has leveled off a little bit for the past month and a half or so. You can see it's sitting at 329.21, so just barely off of its 6-month high of 331.89, which it did hit in March, but still trending upward and continuing to trend upward, which is very interesting. Rayquaza VMAX also doing the same thing as Umbreon did. It did hit its 1-year high a little bit and hasn't caught back up to that point yet. So 311.40 is its 1-year high. It hit that in November of 2022. You can see it actually was trending downward a little bit for the majority of 2022 up until June, where it was right around that 206.77 mark. That was its 1-year low, and then skyrocketed like many other alternate arts, especially from Evolving Skies. Hit that 311.40 mark, which was a 1-year high for it, then backed off a little bit, just like that Umbreon VMAX, where it hit about 250 or so, and now it's starting to gain some ground again. It's sitting at 295.58, so not quite as steady of an incline as what we saw from Umbreon VMAX, but definitely trending in the upward direction. The Lugia V, however, has really hit a wall pretty much immediately after release and just continued to sink. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that people they're just not a huge fan of the artwork personally. I know there are a lot of other people who agree like me. This fits Lugia perfectly. The lore, it's perfect, and I love everything about this card. I think it's beautiful. This is one of probably my top 10 favorite alternate arts because I do like the way it looks a lot, but I also can understand why people don't necessarily like it as much and what they could have done with Lugia V. But you can see right out of the gates, because of the FOMO, because of what people were worried about, it started off pre-selling for about $400. The set released and it went down right away. And unlike other alternate arts, which continued to rise then after release, this one did not, and just continued to trend downward. However, pretty slowly. It's not moving quickly downward, but still trending in the downward direction. You can see sitting at a 6-month low currently of 185.63, but it's been fairly level for the last few months. So we'll see if Lugia V starts trending in the upward direction. But again, it really depends on what the supply looks like as far as Silver Tempest packs goes, as far as these Sword and Shield era packs go. Gengar VMAX really kind of doing the same thing as what we saw with some of those other alternate arts, where it hit a wall in September, October of 2022. So you can see starting to trend upwards, hit that September mark, blew up, and then in October it kind of leveled off a little bit. It passed up 160, right around 170, and it stayed level there. Started to trend downward a little bit, where it went back down to about 150. That was in February, and now it started to rise up a little bit again. So it hit 190, 105. That was a 1-year high for this specific card. That was in March. It's lost a little bit, so it's sitting at 184.67, but still definitely in the upward trajectory when it comes to the Gengar VMAX. The Blaziken VMAX, this is probably my top 3, might be my favorite. It looks really, really cool. The Blaziken VMAX is just absolutely stunning. Very level for the majority of 2022, all the way up until September, and then like many of the other alternate arts just started taking off like crazy. So October, November just saw some massive growth right there, and then you thought maybe it would stutter a little bit, like what we saw with other sets or other cards from these alternate art variants, but it just continued to grow, much slower pace, but continued to grow. So it's sitting at 179.71 currently, which is a 1-year high, but $99 is where you could have purchased this card. That was back pretty much June, July, August, September of 2022, and then just continued to climb. Very, very cool looking card, but what's going to happen? What's going to happen moving forward? And that's what I'm curious about. That's what I'm puzzled about. The Charizard V is very interesting because it's just been up and down all over the place, and it's actually trending downward compared to some of these other alternate arts. So Charizard being this big Pokemon, basically one of the mascots of Pokemon, definitely heading in a different direction than what we saw from the Giratina V, which continues to trend in the upward direction. This is a very cool artwork card. The battle scene with the Venusaur, it looks absolutely stunning, but in April of 2022, there it is, sitting right around a one-year high of 209, and then falls real quickly. In June, it's selling for about 160. In September, it's still for 160, but then it starts trending upward again, like what we saw from a lot of other alternate arts, and it hit that one-year high again of 209.05 in November, and then a lot of people thought it was going to continue to rise, maybe at a slower pace like what we saw from the Gengar, but it didn't. It just fell backwards, and that's why these cards are so puzzling to me. Now, Brilliant Star is definitely still in circulation, not so much in the booster box form, but in booster packs at least, but this card has fallen really, really hard. In February of 2023, it actually hit a one-year low of 157.80. It's gained a little bit of that back, but still sitting at 162.73, so much different than what we saw from like the Giratina V. Leafeon VMAX starting to trend downward, much slower than what we saw from some of the other cards, but you can see, like many of its Evolving Skies brothers, sisters, whatever you want to call them, in June, July, August, it was at a one-year low of 171.90. That was right around the time of the reprint, and then took off. It actually hit a one-year high in November of 2022 of 209.05. Now it's lost a little bit of that, and it's sitting at 151.68 currently. So these highs are actually messed up. So that 171 is actually supposed to be the high. The low point looks like it was about 110. So that 209 I must have not done that correctly. Way to go, Fanny. But backed off a little bit. It's sitting at 151.68, which is about $20 off of its one-year high, which it hit in November of 2022. So definitely trending downward a little bit. We'll see what happens moving forward with this Leafeon VMAX. But that's why it's always interesting to kind of speculate and try and get a good understanding of when the best time is, especially when you're looking at these most expensive cards here, because there is so much value. It is such an investment from your wallet that you could be spending on multiple cards, maybe even filling out your Scarlet and Violet Master set already. Galarian Moltres, much like what we saw with the other ones, trending downwards for the most part in June, July, August. September kind of stopped right there. In July, it hit a one-year low of $89.20, then took off like crazy in September, October, past that 120 mark, right up to that 140 mark, basically. That's where it's sitting right now, 139.97. That's a one-year high for this card. It looked like it backed off a little bit in February. It might start trending downward, but definitely continued to rise after that. So fooled me for sure. Espeon VMAX, more like the Leafeon VMAX that we just kind of looked at. This one was sitting at 168.98 as a one-year high. It hit that in November, December of 2022, which is well above its one-year low, which it hit in June, 103.54. Now it's sitting at 139.79. So quite a bit off of its one-year high. So it's sitting about 20%-ish below its one-year high. So over the past few months, it's lost about 20%. So it makes you wonder, okay, well, it's now the time to be scooping up some of these cards. Are they going to rise in price now that these packs are starting to slowly move out of circulation? That's really what the question is here. In June of 2022, Glaceon also hit a one-year low. That was when it was at 117.44, and Glaceon at one point in time was the third most expensive card when it came to that Evolving Skies set. Now I think Leafeon has passed it up, but you can see it blew up in September, October, November. It hit that one-year high of 180.77. Now it's backed off quite a bit, so much closer to its one-year low now than its one-year high, sitting at 136.61 currently. Sylveon VMAX, kind of the same thing. This one going in the opposite direction of what we saw from the Umbreon VMAX. So this one skyrocketed in April, where it hit a one-year high of 160.23. I think this was the second I think this passed up Rayquaza at one point in time, but backed off in June, July, August, September. It hit that one-year low of 120.27 before starting to skyrocket again, like what we saw from the other ones. But this one was much shorter of a time frame. Once we hit November, started backing off quite a bit, dropped down to 135, started to rise a little bit, almost made it to 150. Now it's backed off again, sitting at 132.77. So again, much closer to that one-year low than that one-year high. Then we've got the Aerodactyl V. I think this might be the last one that we're looking at, but different than what we saw from the Lugia V, because it started climbing right away out of the gate. So following more in the footsteps of the Giratina V, the difference is this one backed off a lot. So you can see in October, November, and I know that it had that whole Pokerev debacle where he couldn't pull it out of 2,600, 2,700 packs, but that's very normal for a set like Lost Origin because pull rates are so difficult. But you can see October, November really starting to rise, hit that one-year high of 131.29, then backed off a lot, dropped all the way down to about 115 or so, and then shot up again where it was almost at 130, and now it came all the way back down to a one-year low of 114.81, gained a little of that back, sitting at 123.25. Last one I think we are going to look at is the Machamp V. This one was very interesting because when we were looking at pre-order pricing, this one was fairly cheap. This one was selling for $50, $55, right around that price range. And you can see that based off of the 1-year low for this card, $51.99, which can you imagine buying the Machamp at that point in time for $51.99? Maybe you did. Good on you. But right when the set came out, $51.99, then all the copies were basically getting bought out up to $100. And now it's been the picture of consistency over the last 8 months or so. So in June, it hit that 1-year high of 133.84. It's fallen basically between 120 and 110 for the last 7-8 months. You can see it's sitting at 114.61 currently. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with that one. And then finally, the same thing for the Tyranitar V. This one's sitting at 111.05 as a 1-year high. I think I just copied I don't think I even changed the graph for this one, but Tyranitar V sitting at 111.05. I must have been way out of it. I know I created this slideshow when it was super late at night, but this was the last one that was over $100 out of all of the alternate arts in existence currently, and I think this one was only at about 101 currently for the market price. So this one, another one that has trended upward quite a bit in October, November, and then kind of fell back a little bit, but now it's sitting right around that $100 mark. And I'm really just curious as to what you guys think as far as alternate arts go moving forward, especially as these packs start slowly disappearing out of circulation, and what your focal point is moving forward. Are you really just focusing on Scarlet and Violet moving forward? Are you still trying to work on some of these Sword and Shield sets? I've seen it both ways, and I can understand both sides of the coin as to why Sword and Shield might be more fun to open, but I am curious to get your thoughts. So with that being said, I'm sorry for the sloppiness in this presentation, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. If you liked what you heard, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment on the video. Like I said, it goes a really long way for the algorithm. I'll be back on Tuesday with another video, and hopefully at some point this week we'll be able to go live and celebrate hitting that 100K mark together. But it's really just timing, trying to figure it all out. But thank you guys so much for all your support. You mean so much to me. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, peace.